In the previous lesson, we discussed various definitions given by academicians, popular figures and media professionals for news. The essence of these definitions crystallized into news characters and values. Today we are going to discuss the areas that we expect frequently to find in news stories. After watching this lesson, students would be familiar to the broad categories that feeds news media industry besides understanding the characteristics of news. You would also understand the difference between hard news and soft news. Life is full of shapeless jumble of events and unexpected developments. Life is a blend of joy and sorrow, happy and sadness, fun and frolic, surprise and chaos. The duty of journalists is to find out various happenings of human lives and structure these elements into a neat package for the consumption of the public. The bits of information capsuled as news, stories, features the same day on radio, television or online and the next day in newspapers. How do journalists decide what is news and what is not? How do they distinguish between a big news story and a small one? The answer for these questions form our today's lesson. What kind of information makes a news story is a big question. A professor of communication at a university in Denmark, 𝗧𝗦𝗔𝗧 has done a research project titled "What do news readers really want to read about? How relevance works for news audiences." The research found that people choose to read news that is most relevant to their own lives and the life of their families, colleagues and communities. The report also found that readers derive their own meaning from stories. A given story may be categorized by one reader as international, by another as technology and another as financial. It indicates that news tastes of readers varies from one another. The report also found that stories which appear trivial are often valued by readers for their civic implications, and it is found that there is a natural interest in local news regardless of the topic. Professor Kim also grouped readers into 4 distinct clusters based on patterns of the news preferences, which all include a diverse diet of news across multiple subjects. They are: number 1, people with political and civic interest in news; number 2, people with a social humanitarian interest in news; number 3, people with a cultural interest in news; and number 4, people who seek political depth stories. Every information we come across cannot become news. Let us see the issues that can make news. First, conflicts. Conflicts created by human beings and the conflict among different groups is always news. This category includes wars, strikes, revolutions, secessionist groups, tribal and clan fights, elections and the power battle of politics. The best example for conflict that has been in the media is the ongoing farmers' protest against 3 agricultural laws. The conflict between the government and farmers is taking various shapes, and the debate it has generated is intense and immense. The varying parties would come up with their versions depending on the developments, and readers or viewers are interested to know them on daily basis. Every conflict has some consequences or repercussions. They also make news. For example, government's decision to ban Chinese products and digital platforms following tension on the borders created a lot of news stories. Some conflicts could create jingoism and war cries. The second one is disaster and tragedy. It is natural that human beings wish to know about disasters and tragedies and the impact created by them. This may include air crashes, train derailments, ship sinking, volcanic eruptions and earthquakes. These all are natural disasters and the loss caused by them are enormous. The basic human instinct is to find out the reason for such disasters and tragedies. Man-made tragedies could create more interest among the public. Parents brutally killing two young daughters with a religious belief in Andhra Pradesh is a classic example. Readers are curious to know the reason for this incident of extraordinary nature. Third one, crime. Any crime can be news, whether it is a road traffic offence, housebreak, rape, murder, acid attack, land encroachment, forgery or corruption. Crime news would attract more attention. More serious crimes or unusual crimes generally make bigger news stories. Since the public reception is high, editors allocate more space for crime news. The drama and mystery involved in crime are said to be the reasons for the reader's interest. Fourth, money. Money is everything always. The mission of man's life has become money making. Those who make more money are enjoying respect and status in the society. Fortunes made and lost, school fees, taxes, the budget, food prices, wage rises, economic crisis and compensation claims and so on are always good fodder for news media. It is not only large sums of money which make news. A little girl who gives her small piggy bank deposits to a huge fundraising event is as interesting as a businessman's handsome donation. A combination of money and crime called corruption and scams also attract huge attention. We can have a homemade example. Satyam Computers chairman B. Ramalinga Raju cooking up of records to hoodwink shareholders remained news for months together in 2009. The business magnate's admission that he had inflated the company's revenue to attract investors sent shockwaves across the corporate sector and led to a series of policy changes in India besides job losses. The man behind the collapse of the tech giant is out on bail and still every piece of information about him evinces interest among the readers. Fifth, politics. The activities associated with the governance of a country or a state is of utmost importance for people. Every aspect of the rulers is a key for the ruled. Policies and decisions of political parties, statements and activities of the key players and internal power struggles are of great interest. The constant tussle between the ruling and opposition parties and the heat it can generate over the issue of public interest figure prominently in news. Money, power, glamour and fame are involved in this category to become the mainstay of reporting. Sixth, progress and development. Development related information is always news. The reason is simple. The fruits of development would reach out public and they are eager to know what the projects and programs that could benefit them. These news reporters always of how the changes affect people's lives, for better or for worse. Development stories related to education, health sector, new technology, improvement of farming techniques, road building and irrigation schemes are of immense interest. There is a branch of journalism called development journalism. Development journalism is concerned with social, cultural and political aspects of development, not just the economic. Development journalism promotes and contributes to human development, which focuses on helping people meet their basic needs, empowering people to articulate their concerns and manage their development, and ameliorating poverty and inequality, as mentioned by 𝗧𝗧. Seventh, the underdog. You must have paid a lot of interest when your grandfather or parents or teachers narrated stories such as David and Goliath and Hare and the Tortoise and Cinderella. The struggle, qualities and achievements of the underdogs are always interesting. For example, Manya Om-Prakash Singh of Kushinagar in Uttar Pradesh was crowned the second runner-up at the Miss India 2020 beauty contest. Manya Singh's journey from being an auto rickshaw driver's daughter to the Miss India platform is nothing short of inspirational. From not being able to pay her school fees and afford books to being sidelined by classmates for being an auto rickshaw driver's daughter, Manya has faced it all during the childhood. Similarly, a lesser mortal without any support always makes a new story. His or her struggle, fight, exploitation, and still the smile on his or her face would become a good story. Unsung heroes remain interesting news stories forever. Eighth, famous people. Not only underdogs, but prominent men and women would also make news. What people in the public eye do, the lives they lead, and what they look like are all of interest. What the Bollywood actor Sonu Sood readily offers for the poor and downtrodden is of immense interest. Acts of the family members of politicians, businessmen, and film stars are always of public interest. It is especially newsworthy when they fall from power, lose their money, or are involved in scandal. To satiate the desire of readers, media persons chase famous people. Media earned the bad reputation of violating privacy norms in this process. There is a practice called page 3 journalism, focusing on the jolly lives of celebrities. News related to these celebrities' personal lives and extramarital relations also attract readers. The rich person's dinner parties and cultural shows also make news. Journalists make special efforts to collect news related to famous people because of their news value. Though celebrities call it nuisance value, editors give priority to publish exclusive photos and gossip about them. Tabloids like The Sun would thrive on the lives of celebrities. Ninth, religion. Religion has become an integral part of majority of people, and media cannot overlook it because of various reasons. There are two types of religious news stories. First, there are events involving people's religious lives, such as the building of a new place of worship or a pilgrimage. Second, there are statements by religious leaders on moral, spiritual, and political affairs. Some newspapers like Times of India and The Hindu publish religious discourses for the sake of elderly. The influence of clergies, Maulvis, and Swamijis on some societies is immense. The nexus between politicians and spiritual leaders has been an interesting aspect to watch out. 10th, health. Coverage of health news was very minimal till the beginning of the year 2020. The COVID-19 pandemic had changed the situation drastically and dramatically. Now, health has become the only point of discussion. As the entire world was under lockdown, multiple angles of health were covered by media in an unprecedented manner. Many people are concerned with their health, so they are interested in stories about traditional remedies, medical research, diseases, hospitals and clinics, drugs, diet, and exercise. Post-COVID, health news attracted a lot of public attention. Food is also of great interest as part of this category. 11th, weather. The weather may affect the daily routine of people and is of interest. For a farmer who wants to go for the harvesting of his crop, weather forecast is very, very important. Ordinary public needs to plan their day according to the day's weather conditions. That is why many newspapers publish weather news on page 1, and almost all TV channels have a weather bulletin. When weather behaves unusually with exceptionally high or low temperatures or exceptionally high or low rainfall, readers are alert to know the news. Rain continuously playing truant means a sign of drought, and drought impact all sections of the society. 12th, entertainment. Stories about music, dance, theatre, cinema, and other literary and cultural shows have a great news value. Who is doing what, who is performing where, and what is the worth going to see or hear is a lookout for readers. Last but not the least, sport. Sports section has a lot of fan following. In countries like India, where cricket is a religion and cricketers are demigods, media has to allocate much space to cover tournaments and championships. Readers and viewers want to know sports results, news of sportsmen and sportswomen and their achievements. Many readers straight away go to the sports section to read the day's important results by ignoring the page 1. The lives of sports persons and their comments also figure prominently. Along with these categories, issues like agriculture, science and technology and problems of minorities get more space in the news space in countries like India. Agricultural countries naturally allocate more space for various angles of the field. Till now, we have seen what kind of information comes in front of the readers and viewers in the form of news. If you flip through any newspaper and watch any TV show, you would find news belong to the categories we have now discussed. World over, constant efforts are on to find out the news reading habits of the public. Pew Research Center, a non-partisan US-based fact tank that conducts public opinion polling, demographic research, content analysis and other data-driven social science research, did a survey on what kind of news people really want through 165 separate national surveys. The study broke down news in 19 separate categories and then 6 super categories. Not surprisingly, war and terrorism have constantly ranked at the top of the stack. It is followed by bad weather and natural or man-made disaster stories. It is found that money news is the only category that has grown notably more popular with time. Crime, health and politics have constantly ranked as mid-level interest categories. Science and technology, foreign news that is not directly related to the US and tabloid and entertainment news have constantly ranked lowest in the public eye, according to the study author Michael J. Robinson. We categorized all news into broad categories and discussed them in detail. But what is a very good story is a nagging issue for news persons. As we discussed, which is new, which is unusual, which is interesting, which is significant and which is about people is going to be a very good story indeed. One way of deciding the strength of a story is to check how many of those 5 criteria it meets, says the news manual. However, we should always keep 2 important elements in mind while deciding the importance of the story. The first one is closeness or proximity. An event happening at 2 different places can have 2 quite different news values. A big protest in South Africa may not be a big story for Indian readers, but a dharna in the heart of the capital would attract the reader's attention. At international level, Indian readers may not be bothered to know about a coup in Far East, but if the similar coup attempt take place in the neighboring Maldives, Indian reader doesn't want to miss it. Keep it in mind that the word local means different things to different people. The second one is personal impact. How is this news going to impact me is the constant question that rings in the minds of the average reader, listener or viewer. Issues such as an increase in gas cylinder charge, a hike in fee in universities, concession in car rates attract people's attention. Stories about dowries, children, land disputes, new schools, cheaper or dearer fares or whatever else is important may affect your average reader, will have personal impact. People can identify with stories about other people like themselves. So those stories with which many people can identify are stronger than those which only apply to a few. Two types of news. News are broadly divided into 2 types. They are hard news and soft news in terms of nature. Hard news or straight news in journalism refers to breaking news and up to the minute news about serious, timely or hard-hitting topics that are timely and urgent, usually based on facts and quick cross-checking. Political journalism, business journalism and watchdog journalism are forms of hard news according to Britannica. Traditionally, so-called hard news relates the circumstances of a recent event or incident considered to be of general, local, regional, national or international significance. Most of the time, hard news are found on the front page. These news have a particular pattern and the writing style is also typically differs from the other type of news, that is soft news. Soft news are also called as light news. Britannica defines soft news is also called market-centered journalism. It is a journalistic style and genre blurs the line between information and entertainment. Although the term soft news was originally synonymous with feature stories placed in newspapers or television newscasts for human interest, the concept expanded to include a wide range of media outlets that present more personality-centered stories. Soft news journalism focused on lifestyle and entertainment and typically revolves around culture, art and human interest events. Soft news includes sports journalism, entertainment journalism and celebrity coverage. Over a period of time, news acquired certain characteristics that are followed worldwide as thumb rules. Adherence to these basic rules would decide whether journalists and media or nations are reliable or not and ethical or not. These 5 components figure in the ethical frameworks of all professional bodies and news organizations. The 5 highly desirable interconnected characteristics of news are: 1. Truth, 2nd. Accuracy, 3rd. Objectivity, 4th. Balance and 5th. Concise and clear. Journalism's first obligation is to the truth and its first loyalty is to citizens. Truth is the backbone of news. Readers reject those news organizations that fail in the trust factor test. The American Press Institute says that journalistic truth is a process that begins with the professional discipline of assembling and verifying facts. A fair and reliable account of the meaning of the incidents or events is solicited. To ensure trust element, journalists should be as transparent as possible about sources and methods so audiences can make their own assessment of the information. Getting it right is the foundation upon which everything else is built: context, interpretation, comment, criticism, analysis and debate. If the news gatherer promises himself or herself to be truthful to the readers, the obvious outcome is accurate and objective news. News is the crystallized form of information. Reporters gather a lot of information but filter them by using the utmost professional discretion. Though it is near impossible to report news as it is, every effort should be made to give readers a feeling that whatever they are being presented is the outcome of an honest and dedicated effort of the writer. What factual accuracy means is that every statement in news items, such as every name, date, age, quotation, every definite word or expression or sentence must represent only truth. American Press Institute says that accuracy means correctness not merely in general impression but also in details. Not showing favoritism towards one side or the other is called objectivity. The opposite is called planted stories or cooked up stories. Giving spin to the news elements to present facts in favor of a particular person or an organization is undesirable in journalism. To be objective in reporting, it is expected to present the voices of all stakeholders without any bias or favoritism. API maintains that a reporter should not look at events through glasses, either raised, colored or smooth. News is to be presented in full light of impartial and scrupulously honest observation. Objectivity is essential because only pure news can give the consumer confidence, since people form their opinion in the basis of news items. It is all the more necessary that it should be objective in all manners. Every incident or event encompasses various stakeholders. We call them sources in the journalistic parlance. Balance in a news story means giving representation to all of them. One-sided information makes the news story imbalanced. Journalists need to give a fair picture of the events as it occurs by incorporating the versions of all the sides. Knowledge levels and grasping power of all readers is not equal. Their educational qualifications or understanding levels are not the same. They don't buy a newspaper and read news to acquire literary skills. That is why the art of a journalist is to keep the fact in mind while writing news. We should convey the collected information in simple terminology. Each word should be weighed so that every reader would understand it without referring to a dictionary or seeking another person's help to make sense of it. It should be well paced, unified, and above all written so clearly that the meaning of the story is also absolutely plain. In addition to these 5 key components of news, API talks about current in news, that is about element of time in news. It observes that this is necessary because of the changes which may occur in the transitory period. Things are always changing and the news consumers want the most recent information on subjects of concerns or interest to them. Conclusion. In this lesson, we have discussed the issues that makes news every day. We also figured out the difference between hard news and soft news, besides understanding the 5 characteristics of news.